Skinny Hot 087T, back with another EP. Y'all do your boy a favor. Y'all smash that like button for your boy when you roll on in. Whether you here for a good time or a long time, if you could, do your brother a favor. Smash that like button for your boy when you roll on in. This is basically me doing my weekend recap. My weekend recap. Sebastian Fundora this weekend most recently took on Carlos Ocampo and what turned out to be a pretty exciting fight, right? What's good, dude? What's good, Josh Sanders? My guy Jelly Bean. Let me say what's up to my people in the building. He fought Carlos Ocampo this weekend, right? Which turned out to be what's good, TD. Appreciate you sliding through. My guy Coastal Boxer. What's good, Pimp? Appreciate you sliding through. What's good, Jelly Bean? What's good, my brother? Appreciate you sliding through this thing. Josh Sanders, what's good, Pimp? My brother Just Do. What's up, family? Appreciate you sliding through. But yeah, this is basically my fight weekend recap. I'm gonna be here approximately 48 minutes because y'all know it's Monday Night Football. Y'all come join the party, on the football stream after this stream. But I want to rap about, this. What's good, Johnny Q? Appreciate you sliding through this thing, Johnny Q. Glad you could make it. If y'all could, do your brother a favor, smash that like button. I want to have a Fundora conversation real quick, right? So she over the weekend, Fundora fought Carlos Ocampo, which turned out to be a pretty exciting fight. At least I personally myself, think it was a pretty exciting fight, right? Going into the fight, it wasn't felt to be that, right? Not many people felt that, this fight would be as, competitive or interesting as it was. Most people felt like Carlos Ocampo, would go in there and he would lay down, or Carlos Ocampo would go in there and he would get knocked out, right? But I was telling people beforehand that I don't think this fight, is going to be as smooth as everyone thinks, and I don't think that Carlos Ocampo is getting knocked out. But even then, right? Even then, with me saying that, right? Even me putting that hedge on there, in the back of my mind, I still felt like that Sebastian Fundora would run through Carlos Ocampo pretty easy. Not run through him as in knock him out, right? But I thought he would be able to handle, Carlos Ocampo easily, like a little better than he was able to do it, right? When I started watching the fight, I myself knew that, he wouldn't knock him out because I seen, as I stated on my fight breakdown with Carlos Ocampo, his fight with Michael Lewinsky. And Carlos Ocampo, gave Mike everything, that he could handle. You know what I mean? But I was telling people all week that this fight gonna be closer than you think. This fight gonna be closer than you think. Fundora is not gonna knock Carlos Ocampo out. You know what I mean? I thought Carlos Ocampo would go out there and he would put up a fight. I thought Carlos Ocampo would go out there and he would make it, rough on Sebastian Fundora. But Carlos Ocampo, he went out there and he actually, tried to win this fight. You know what I mean? The scorecards on this fight was atrocious, right? I'm not saying that Carlos Ocampo won this fight because he didn't, but what I'm saying is the scorecards of this fight were a lot further away than the actual fight was itself. You know what I mean? What's good, Alex Alberto G? He said, "Yes, sir. Ocampo proved me wrong. Going the distance." Shout out my guy Alex Alberto G. You know what I mean? I kind of felt that he would, but what's good, Hustlers Home? Appreciate you sliding through these young Hustlers Home. If y'all could do your boy a favor, smash that like button for your boy when you roll on in. We're in here having a boxing conversation. I'm basically doing my weekend recap, before the Monday Night Football comes on. You know what I mean? But I knew that Ocampo would go the distance, but I didn't think that Carlos Ocampo would actually be able to hang and compete with Sebastian Fundora in this fight. Yes, I feel like, Carlos Ocampo was able to hang and compete with Fundora in this fight. You know what I mean? So we ended up getting a surprise, interesting fight for most, right? I was kind of expecting it, to be exciting, but even I was, surprised, even still with me expecting, Carlos Ocampo to go in there and be, a challenge. He was even more of a challenge than I thought, you know what I mean? So I was highly entertained, right? But Soon after that fight ended, right? Soon after that fight ended, I found myself, asking myself, right? This is the same guy that before this fight, everyone was saying beats everybody at 154. Everybody was saying this guy beats Charlo. Not everybody, right? But a lot of people, you start to hear a lot more chirpings about Fundora being able to beat Charlo, and most definitely, if not being able to beat him, right? Most definitely, you've been hearing about more chirpings for Sebastian Fundora to actually be a real challenge or a real threat to Jermell Charlo. All right, what's good, AB? Appreciate you sliding through this thing. Shout out my guy, AB the IT. Glad you could make it, pimp. Glad you could make it. Y'all do your boy a favor. Y'all jab that like button. Asante L, what's good, pimp? Appreciate you sliding through. Whether y'all here for a good time or a long time, if y'all could smash that like button, let YouTube know that y'all over here with your good brother. Let YouTube know that we live. Let YouTube know that we getting this good cook on over here right now. But I found myself thinking shortly. Matter of fact, roll up. Yeah, all you niggas roll up. All you niggas roll up. Yeah, T said good fight. I'm one of those people. I feel Fundora beats him. You know what I mean? Yeah, Teach. So there was a lot of, there was a lot of that going on. I'm put my guy Teach coming up there. There was a lot of that, going on, and rightfully so after their Lubin performance, right? But let's talk about the Lubin performance because this is a Sebastian Fundora T. Appreciate y'all sliding through. I got 16 likes. Y'all jab that like button for your boy. This is a Sebastian Fundora T. So let's talk about the Lubin fight, right? I feel like even in the Lubin fight, right? I feel like even in the Lubin fight, Fundora's holes were exposed, but I feel like it got overshadowed a lot by the actual outcome of his fight with Lubin. Sudden T, what you mean? I feel like Erickson Lubin actually exposed all of Fundora's holes, which is what I was saying. But because he didn't get the win right or he didn't get the result right, it wasn't as easily noticeable or it wasn't as apparent as it would have been if Sebastian Fundora would have had his holes exposed in the loss. Right? What you mean, Southern T? Well, in that fight with Erickson Lubin, Erickson Lubin lost that fight, right? But in my opinion, and we had this boxing conversation as well right after the fight, right? In my opinion, Erickson Lubin, he didn't lose that fight because of Sebastian Fundora was just, a better boxer or a better fighter than him, right? A lot of the reasons, in my opinion, that Erickson Lubin lost that fight was because he chose to fight the wrong style of fight. You know what I mean? Facts, AB Fred, AB the IT, hell yeah. I feel like he lost that fight because of the style of fight that he chose to fight. What you mean, Sudden T? Well, Erickson Lubin, he had his most success right in that fight. Let's rewind back to that fight for a second. If you go to the first round, Erickson Lubin won the first round, right? He came out, he got in the mid-range with Fundora, made a miss, hit him in the body, with some jabs, hit him in the chest with some jabs, hit him in the head. He moved, he boxed well. You know what I mean? He won that first round. But right after that first round, right, I think Erickson Lubin, because he found success, right, boxing Fundora from the mid-range, right, I think he got a little too, comfortable. And he thought, well, okay, I'm about to go ahead and, give a little, take a little, because I'm landing. And I think if I'm able to land cleanly, I be able to get him out of there. So he kind of threw away his, his boxing game plan, his like stick and move game plan. He kind of threw it away. You know what I mean? He went away from the things that gave him the most success in that first round, in the first part of that fight. He started to go away from those things and he started doing more catch and shoot instead of more, technical boxing, right? And when he started catching and shooting, that's what got him in trouble. Erickson Lubin exposed that, if you're not a stationary target for Fundora, right? Erickson Lubin showed us that if you actually move, a little bit, you could have success. And actually, the key to being Fundora is mid-range to long range, because against Erickson Lubin, Sebastian Fundora showed us that he has most of his success on the inside. And if you do what Erickson Lubin did, what's good, Skywalker? Appreciate you sliding through. And if you do what Erickson Lubin did, right, and you stand there and you oblige him, then he can't have success, right? But in the times where Erickson Lubin, was boxing on the stick, right? When he was boxing with his stick, you saw that he was able to hit Fundora kind of clean. Another thing that I think Erickson Lubin exposed in that fight with Sebastian Fundora, but we kind of overlooked it because I like that fight, Alex. We gonna get to it. I like that fight, Alex. I was saying it on Just Do channel. I like that. We gonna get to this, Alex. Another thing that Erickson Lubin, exposed in that fight with Fundora, but I think we missed it, right? Because he didn't necessarily get the win, right? Was Fundora doesn't necessarily, I'm not gonna say he doesn't have a chin because that would be blasphemy, right? It would be blasphemy to say that Fundora doesn't have a chin because he damn sure, has a chin, right? But also what Erickson Lubin showed in that fight is that Fundora can be hit, right? He exposed that his head is always on the line. He can be hit, and he doesn't really react the greatest when hit. Now he's not one of those guys who's out there with his knees buckling every time he get hits, right? But he's the guy. If you hit him, he's the guy. He's the guy that if you hit him enough, he does start to slow down. He's the guy that if you hit him enough, he doesn't, really know how to make adjustments, right? He doesn't know how to make adjustments. Like he doesn't really move his head off the line. He only really fights one style. He likes to come forward, at you, walk you down, and rain down that punishment on you. He really doesn't have a go-to game outside of that. Erickson Lubin, exposed that. Erickson Lubin fought Fundora and he fought him in like 2 or 3 different styles. He started boxing him a little earlier, and then he started brawling with him, and then Erickson Lubin just started fighting him. Erickson Lubin had success, when he was boxing him, and he also had success when he was firing back at Sebastian Fundora. That's another hole that Erickson Lubin exposed in Fundora, right? That if you shoot your shit in between his shit, right? If you counterpunch him, he's he's easier to hit, right? Because he's kind of slow, with the drawback. He's not a slow puncher, but his arms are so long that it takes him a while, to get his his punches back up with his guard. So when he's swinging, it's best to swing in between his punches, which is how Lubin actually floored him in that fight, right? I think Carlos Ocampo, he used a lot of the things that Erickson Lubin exposed in their fight, in this fight. You know what I mean? And that's how he was able to have success. He took the pieces, he took the the good pieces from the Erickson Lubin fight, from the Erickson Lubin performance, right? The Carlos Ocampo. And he he incorporated that into his game plan. Right? And I think that's why he was able to have so much success. I believe Erickson Lubin would have been able to beat Sebastian Fundora if he used, the head movement that Carlos Ocampo used. Everybody was saying, well, how did Erickson Lubin get beat up? You know what I mean? If Carlos Ocampo was able to get out of there. And it's not because Carlos Ocampo is better than Erickson Lubin or nothing like that. It's simply because Carlos Ocampo, decided to fight a different fight. You know what I mean? Erickson Lubin had success on offense, and then he threw defense out of the window. You know what I mean? Carlos Ocampo was having success on offense because he was using defense first. And yeah, he got caught. Carlos Ocampo got caught with some things, but he also exposed some things with Sebastian Fundora, right? Because before this fight, and I'm bringing it on home now, because before this fight, right, most people, well, a lot of people, not most people, right, before this fight, most people have Fundora ranked as, the best guy at 154, after Charlo. At least I did, right? Because I thought the best guy at 154 after Charlo was Erickson Lubin. So when Fundora beat Erickson Lubin, hence Sebastian Fundora is the best guy at 154 outside of Charlo. But you know what I mean? A lot of us had him, beating Charlo. And I just, summed up his last performance, like what I think about it, what I saw, how Erickson Lubin, exposed some hoes, and Carlos Ocampo almost kicked the door down on them hoes. Now I want to let y'all know something. I want to bring something to the light, right? And I'm about to bring my camera up. I want to bring something to the light, right? His last three fights. Right? Garcia, Lubin, and now Carlos Ocampo. His last three fights, they have something in common, right? Each fight got tougher for him, as the fight came. Each fight was a war, and each fight it showed more difficulty than the one before. You know what I mean? So hold on. I'm saying that. I'm pointing that out for a reason. What y'all think the reason, that I'm pointing that out for? I'm pointing that out because I'm saying I believe that the jury, I'm believing that the book, I'm believing that the blueprint, right? To beat Sebastian Fundora, I believe that it's out, right? And I believe people are starting to read that blueprint. I believe people are starting to read that book. I believe people, are starting to do their homework on Fundora, and each fight is becoming more and more increasingly hard for Sebastian Fundora. You know what I mean? I think the first fight they did it right, if you was really paying attention, was Jamonte Clark, but I know there's a lot over a lot of people's heads, so I'm not gonna go back that far. But I think the fight game, right, and the actual fighters start to get hip to it after that Garcia fight. You know what I mean? Ever since that Garcia fight, Garcia, Lubin, and now Ocampo, Sebastian Fundora has been in drag out wars, and it's not necessarily a good thing for an up and coming prospect. You know what I mean? You really don't hit your drag out war stage, until you actually become a champion. And think about this: he's having drag out wars against guys that he's really what's good, right? Protect sliding through. He's having drag out wars against guys that you really wouldn't expect him to have drag out wars against. My guy T said to this day, only person from Fundora come force the boxing style, Jamonte Clark, because he was a tall guy who was moving a lot. Yeah, facts. You know what I mean? So it's like it's becoming more and more, of a war, right? It's like these wars, right? These wars, right, are starting to catch up with him. And T's really, I don't think he made Carlos Ocampo fight his fight. That's that's kind of the way that Carlos Ocampo, fights, which is why, that's what I want to talk about. You know what I mean? So a guy like Carlos Ocampo, right, because he stayed disciplined in his game plan, right? Because he didn't just present himself, as a stationary target. Now he wasn't now Ocampo wasn't using, A+ boxing skills. He wasn't using A+ boxing ability. You know what I mean? He was just being defensively aware enough inside of the pocket, and he was actually fighting Fundora, inside of the pocket. He just didn't, stand there, right? He just didn't stand there. A lot of Erickson Lubin's problem was, he was standing there, allowing Fundora to get off. Ocampo was in the pocket, but he wasn't just standing there. He was being active on the defensive end. He was actually able to show us that you could beat Fundora. You actually can beat Fundora fighting on the inside, right? You could beat him fighting on the inside. And again, Carlos Ocampo isn't what you would call a grade A level boxer. He isn't one of those guys, you want to consider him being a high pedigree of boxer. Now, he's not no trash can. He's not no lemon, right? He not no trash can. He not no lemon. What's good, MP? What the fuck? Appreciate you sliding through this thing. Pimp, if y'all could do your boy a favor, could y'all smash that like button for your boy? Whether you're here for a good time or a long time. Now, Carlos Ocampo ain't no lemon or nothing like that, right? But he's not a guy you would call a master class or a world class boxer or nothing like that, right? And he was able to have success on Fundora and fighting him on the inside, right? So what I'm thinking is, right, I saw him fight Erickson Lubin, who had success boxing him at mid-range, but who threw his game plan away and he decided to bang with him, right? I saw Sergio Garcia have success being able to bang with him. Right? What's good, King Doc? Appreciate you sliding through this thing. I saw Sergio Garcia, right, being able to have success banging with him. I saw Erickson Lubin having success mid-range and having success banging with him, right? And I just saw Carlos Ocampo, having success banging with him. Now, Garcia doesn't have a whole lot of power. So that's the reason that he wasn't able to be successful in beating Fundora. Erickson Lubin didn't stick to his game plan, right? He kind of stood in front of him. He went toe to toe with him, mano a mano with him, right? And that ultimately led to him losing to Sebastian Fundora, right? Carlos Ocampo met him in the middle of the ring, right? Met him head on. I think he overperformed, right? You know what I mean? But Fundora ended up getting the victory. Now, I said it to say this. Garcia, even Erickson Lubin, and most definitely not Carlos Ocampo, right? None of those guys are the elite level boxer that Jermell Charlo is. What's good, King Doc? MP, what the fuck? T. Fundora said one thing interesting for Fundora Poe fight Purse. He said he can fight his fight whenever he wants. He was talking about his inside game. He's very confident. Yep, teach, facts, teach. So I'm getting somewhere. What's good, Johnny Q? Now, what's good, Johnny Q? Now, none of those guys are as talented or elite level boxer like Jermell Charlo, right? But all three of those guys were beating you in a different way, and all three of those guys, were giving you a hard time in said fight. I truly believe it's still some questions to be answered because Erickson Lubin, right, who hits harder than Garcia. Garcia's problem was he didn't have the power to hit you. He didn't have the power to hurt you when he hit you. Erickson Lubin's problem was he didn't use the foot movement to be able to beat you. He had the power and he hit you with it and he dropped you. And you didn't look very good when he hit you with it. And I believe they stopped the fight the round that you got dropped. So you still haven't answered the question, can you recover from a knockdown? You recovered to get out that round, but the other corner threw the towel in. So you never had to really answer, for your recovery, right? But Erickson Lubin was able to hit you without using foot movement. You had Sergio Garcia, who was able to hit you and hit you a lot cleanly, but he didn't have the power to hurt you. And we had Carlos Ocampo, right, who was able to hit you cleanly, who had the power to hurt you. And it looked like y'all were the same level of fighter that fight. The scorecards wouldn't tell you that, but if you watch that fight, it looks like Carlos Ocampo, whatever level that Sebastian Fundora is on at age 25, Carlos Ocampo is 26. And I believe that Carlos Ocampo is on or not too far from the level of boxer that Sebastian Fundora is from looking at that last fight. So I said that to say this. None of them are the level of elite boxer that Jermell Charlo is. None of them, Erickson Lubin, the closest one, have more power than Jermell Charlo. Maybe Erickson Lubin has just as much power, right? Nobody has more power than him. So that means if Jermell Charlo's power is equal or more than Erickson Lubin's, that means that he can hurt you too. If Garcia is able, to box with you and fight with you on the inside, right? That means that Jermell Charlo is going to, if Garcia is able to do it, and he's not naturally an inside fighter, but he adapted to it in the moment, that means Jermell is going to be able to fight with you on the inside as well. If Erickson Lubin can punch you and knock you down, that means that Jermell Charlo is going to be able to punch you and knock you down as well. You know what I mean? If Ocampo can figure out a game plan, you know what I mean, to hang with you, to bang with you on the inside. If Ocampo can figure out a plan, you know what I mean, to make you miss. If Ocampo could figure out a plan, to hit you with constant overhand rights and body shots, you know what I mean? If Ocampo can get in on the inside of you, if Ocampo can impose his will, if Ocampo could, I don't want to say push you back because he didn't necessarily push you back, but if Ocampo could meet you in the center of the ring, so can Jermell Charlo. You know what I mean? And I always felt like I had right about the right energy, right about the right hype level for Sebastian Fundora. I kind of hate when I be on a fighter, when I like a fighter, right? and then he do something great. Like I know he go do something great, right? Sebastian Fundora did something great, beat Erickson Lubin, and then everybody lose their mind, and then they start telling me, oh, he could beat all the champions in the division. He could beat Jamel. He could even beat Jamal. He could beat Earl Spence. He'll beat everybody. He a monster. You know what I mean? And I was saying, like, hold your horses, man. We got to really pay attention to what we're seeing right now, what we saw. This is a guy who is on the come up. He's an up and coming prospect, and he's getting into long, drawn out life and death fights in his prospect stage. Normally, the prospect is sweeping the floor with the contenders, and his life and death time don't start until after he's defending his championships. I think Fundora has the heart of a champion, and I'm getting somewhere with this. I think Fundora has the heart of a champion. I think Fundora has. I think Fundora has the heart of it. He said, I think you knew I was sold on Fundora before the Lubin fight. Yeah, teach. Yeah, teach. Now, yeah, teach. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying after the Lubin fight, though, right? Everybody started to lose their minds. Like I'm watching him. The Lubin fight is what got me sold on him. But even then, I'm saying like he didn't look overly amazing. Erickson Lubin exposed things in him. Ocampo exposed things in him. And by me saying I don't think he's ready for Charlo, right? Because he's not, right? I don't think when I say, oh, he's not ready for Charlo, right? When I'm saying I don't think he's ready for Charlo, I don't think that's me slighting him or me knocking him. Now he called out for Charlo, right? But what I'm saying is, before this fight, a lot of people thought that you could beat Charlo. A lot of people thought that you were either Charlo's equal, or some people thought that you were better. After this fight, that's not the feel. That's not what's being said. It's like after the Lubin fight, it was a whole different kind of aura. You know what I mean? But now, pretty much, he said it's definitely a tough fight. It won't be easy for Fundora. I think Teach right now, we're at this point with Fundora where she is now or never for him. It's now or never because he's been in war after war after war after war, and he's still at such a young age. He's still such a young guy. You know what I mean? Do I feel like he ready? Nope. But I feel like now it really ain't nothing left for him to do but get in there and fight Fundora. Now he said he wants Charlo next. What I'm saying is, I don't believe that Fundora is ready for Charlo. I believe that if you put him in there with Charlo, he's going to get seriously hurt. I saw Carlos Ocampo be able to rip, body shots pretty much at will. I saw Carlos Ocampo be able to land, their right hook up top and down low. I saw him be able to land that at will. You know what I mean? I think right now, a fighter with the experience, right? A fighter with the experience of Garcia, right? A fighter with the athletic ability, right, of a Jamonte Clark or exceeding his, right? And a fighter, with the right game plan, beat Sebastian Fundora. And you don't have to be elite level at any of those things. Y'all feel what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to be an elite level boxer. You don't have to have elite power. You know what I'm saying? You just need a good game plan. You know what I mean? And I really do think that you could be for. You need a good game plan and the right amount of power. You know what I mean? Because Ocampo showed you with the right amount of power, you could slow that big motherfucker down. Lubin showed you with enough power, you could drop that motherfucker. You know what I mean? Garcia shows you that he can be hit. Garcia also showed us that his power is more of accumulation and volume, more so than it is just studying power. You know what I mean? Yeah, he stopped Erickson Lubin, right? But Erickson Lubin's corner stopped him. Erickson Lubin was on both of his feet, looking around when the fight stopped. He wasn't out his mind. He wasn't dazed, nothing like that. He was looking around. You know what I mean? He was talking to the corner man. His face was broken, but he wasn't broken. He was going out for the next round. And I wish the corner had to let him go out for the next round because we still haven't seen Sebastian Fundora answer their bell after being hurt. They stopped the fight the round when Erickson Lubin dropped him. And Erickson Lubin was up on the scorecards when he dropped him. You know what I mean? So there's that. All these things combined, accumulation of all these things. I don't believe that I don't believe that Sebastian Fundora is quite ready for a Jermell Charlo. You know what I mean? I think if he is to fight Jermell Charlo after Tim Tszyu, I think he's going to see the same fate that everybody else saw. And I think that Jermell Charlo stopped Sebastian Fundora before this fight, right? So people can understand this not a hate video. Before this fight, I thought Sebastian Fundora, stood a chance to maybe beat Jermell. I had Jermell winning. I still had Jermell winning, right? But now, I don't think it's close. I don't think it's close at all. My guy T said he think it'll be a tough fight for Fundora. I don't think Fundora stands a chance at all. To be real with you, now I'm about to get into it. I saw y'all say something about Danny and Tony Harrison and those guys. After watching that fight with Carlos Ocampo, and after watching that fight with Erickson Lubin, that fight with Garcia, and seeing all three, and being able to view all three in hindsight, a guy like Tony Harrison, what's good, King Doc? He said, I feel like Charlo stops Fundora. Me too, brody. A guy like Tony Harrison, is just, I feel like he's levels above, Garcia. He's levels above Ocampo. He's levels above those guys. You know what I mean? If you're in there and you're going life and death with a Garcia, you're going life and death with a Carlos Ocampo, not only are you not ready for a Jermell Charlo, you know what I mean? Not only are you not ready for a Jermell Charlo, I don't think you beat a guy like Tony Harrison. I believe a guy like Tony Harrison, with the right game plan, beats you. You can talk your ass out and say, well, Tony Harrison, pillow fist and whatnot. You don't see people going in there. And, just walking through Tony. Tony fought Jermell Charlo, who's one of the hardest punches in the game. Made it real hard for Jermell Charlo to hit him. You don't think if he can make it hard for Jermell Charlo to hit him, he can make it hard for Sebastian Fundora to hit him? And Tony Harrison don't have a whole lot of power, but he got pop. He got scoring power. He got enough power to knock your head back. He got enough power to make you feel him. He got enough power to make the judges feel him. You know what I mean? And he got enough boxing ability to make Fundora miss. I don't think you're ready for a guy. Like Tony Harrison. You know what I mean? I just seen, let alone a guy like Jermell Charlo. We don't believe you. You need more people. I don't think you're ready for a guy. I saw y'all mention Danny Garcia earlier. I don't think you're ready for a guy like Danny Garcia. I seen Danny Garcia's last fight at 154 against Jose Benavidez. I seen the guy, I seen Danny fight a guy named Jose Benavidez at 154. Danny Garcia looks damn good. And now listen to me when I say this. Dare I say that Jose Benavidez kind of fights in the same style as Fundora. He walks forward on you. He want to punish you. He's more of a natural fighter than a natural boxer. You know what I mean? Similar to Fundora in that. Fundora doesn't have a unique kind of, this unicorn kind of style. He's a guy who go in there and he walks in and he wants to beat you up. You know what I mean? He don't even always use his jab walking in on you. Sometimes he walk in on you, arms bent, and beats you up. He loves to fight inside. He keep telling you, I'm an inside fighter. That's my style. So he's going to fight you inside. You know what I mean? So you're going to walk right to Danny Garcia and try to fight Danny Garcia on the inside. You know what I mean? And you can talk your ass off. If Danny Garcia is able to hit you cleanly enough times, he's able to hit on you, pound on you enough times, your ass is going to go down. I just seen Ocampo, rock you out your feet. Ocampo came from 47. I mean, Danny Garcia is coming from 47. Now, naturally, he came from 40, but he been at 47 like the last 4 or 5 years. You know what I mean? He coming from 47. If Ocampo can put this shit on you, if Ocampo can put this shit on you and make you feel him, if you can't knock out, if you can't knock out Sergio Garcia, right? If he can put them thumpers on you, and keep you off him, can survive and stay in that fight. You know what I mean? I know for a fact Danny Garcia can. I know for a fact if Garcia can go 12 with you and hang with you and hit you that much, his problem was he couldn't hurt you. His his problem is he couldn't hurt you. Garcia's problem, Sergio. It wasn't that he couldn't hit you. If Danny is able to hit you like Sergio, you gonna be taking you a Garcia nap that day. You feel me? Two different Garcias. You can't fight Sergio like you can't fight Danny like you fought Sergio. Not only do I not feel like he ready for Jamel, not only do I not feel like he ready for Jamel, I don't feel like he ready for Danny. I don't feel like he ready for Tony. You know what I mean? He said Danny will be tricky too. I agree. I'm telling you, Teach, like this ain't no Fundora slander. You know what I mean? I know sometimes it might not sound like it because I be trying to put things into perspective. I be trying to make people think, broad side, big side, long picture, not necessarily for in the moment right now. You know what I mean? This is not me saying Fundora is a bad fight. This is me saying I don't think Fundora beats, the best fighters in his division. I don't think he beats the champion. You know what I mean? And I think he will struggle with Tony and Danny. You know what I mean? Both those guys, everybody I just named, have already been champions somewhere that Fundora was trying to get. So don't take that as me saying that. So don't take it as me saying Fundora trash. It's not what I'm saying. I just don't think that he's ready. You know what I mean? Right now, I think the Lubin win, kind of set the tone for him. You know what I mean? He's still a very, very, very young guy. You know what I mean? I feel like you put him in there now with Charlo, he gets beat. I think the best thing for him would be, right, is to maybe fight a guy like I don't know, because I feel like if he fight a guy like Tony Harrison, he might not make it up out of there. Maybe you should put him in there with like a Jose Benavidez, to compare him to a Danny Garcia, right? Maybe you should put him in there with a Brian Perella, right, to compare him, against Tony Harrison. Tony Harrison, Brian Perella was able to get a draw out of Tony Harrison, right? Now people, say Tony Harrison, he lost his father, which he did. Tough time for him, which was right. But Tony Harrison came back and he outboxed Brian Perella right out his shoes, right? So stick Fundora in there with Perella, stick Fundora in there with Jose Benavidez, something like that. You know what I mean? Before you stick him in there with Charlo. I know he won't Charlo. I know that's what he's saying, as he should, because he is next in line after Tim Tszyu. But I think Charlo about to make an example out of Tim Tszyu. I think Tim Tszyu about to find out the hard way that he's not necessarily ready. I think Tim Tszyu about to go in there, and I think Jamel is about to put. I think this is gonna be Jamel's coming out party, right? So, T, what you mean Jamel's coming out party? Jamel already came out. I mean, like his coming out party to the world. You know what I mean? Undisputed champ. This will be his first title defense. They about to put him in there with Tim Tszyu. What's good? What's good, Judge Do? He said Mel going to smoke him. Oh, yeah, most definitely. Most definitely, bro. Most definitely. I think, he about to make an example, you know what I mean, out of Tim Tszyu. If you put, y'all want to see what it's going to look like, he's understood. In the style matchup, for example, I feel Fundora will stand a better chance against Spence. Not saying Fundora wins than Tony Harris. Hey, Teach. And I think a guy like Spence Teach. I think a guy like Spence would destroy Fundora because Fundora is going life and death with Ocampo, right? You said Spence, right? What's Ocampo's style, teach? What's Ocampo's style, right? What's Ocampo's style, teach? Fundora just went life and death with Ocampo. Tell me Ocampo's style. A guy like Spence would be completely all wrong for Fundora. It would be completely all wrong for Fundora. Angel Garcia, Angel. Danny. I'm trying to understand. You think Danny will be a tougher matchup for Fundora? Earl beat Danny. Earl literally knocked out Carlos Ocampo, who just took Fundora life and death. But Earl Spence will be a better matchup for him than Danny or Carlos Ocampo. Nah, actually, a guy like Earl Spence would be the worst matchup for him because he's a better inside fighter, right? He's a guy who actually he's a better boxer than Danny. He showed us that he's a better boxer than Carlos Ocampo. We just know that he hits harder than Danny. He hits harder than Carlos Ocampo. He's a better inside fighter than Sebastian Fundora. Fundora allows you to get on the inside of him. That means he's going to allow Errol Spence to get on the. Y'all want to see the most beautiful woman in the world? Y'all want to see the most beautiful woman in the world? Here she go right here. Hey, boo boo. Drop the flame. You know what I mean? TJ Spencer, Fundora are inside fighters. Is the upside. We know Fundora has issues with people who move. Fundora has issues with people on the inside, teach. He got issues. He said, yo, T, I feel like Fundora kind of fights to level his competition. He looked bad against Garcia and Ocampo, but good against Lubin. Just a theory, what you think? Box talk. You know, I think it is. I think he looked good. I think he looked good against Lubin, right? Because Lubin stood there. Lubin stood there. He didn't move his head. He didn't move his body out the way. He stood there and he went into a high guard. He didn't even return fire at Fundora, right? But look, even box talk, even when Lubin was standing right there in front of him, at the times that he returned fire, right? Lubin was able to land on Fundora and he was able to hurt Fundora. Earl Spence is not going to stand there in front of you and look at you. He going to be firing back. Carlos Ocampo was able to stand in front of him and fire, and he wasn't just looking at, he was firing back. And that's what gave Fundora problems. Jamonte Clark beat him boxing. Sergio Garcia gave him a tough fight on the inside, and Garcia had zero power. You know what I mean? Ocampo gave him a tough fight on the inside. You know what I mean? And he's not the inside fighter that Earl Spence is. If Fundora was an elite inside fighter, right, these guys will not be able to fight on the inside with him. You know what I mean? He's not an elite level. These are not elite level fighters that he's fighting. You know what I mean? Just really think about it. Like, for example, if a guy is going to stand in front of him, then he could beat anybody. You know what I mean? If you go stand in front of him and not return fire, because even the Erickson Lubin fight, when Lubin stood in front of him and returned fire, you know, it didn't look too good for Fundora. When Garcia was returning fire, right? He was hitting Fundora. He just couldn't hurt Fundora. You know what I mean? He did, because I thought Fundora lost against Sergio. Didn't expect him to beat Lubin. Then he did. Yep. Didn't expect Ocampo to survive last night, and he did. See, look, Boss Talk. I didn't expect him to lose to Sergio because shit. I think he lost that fight too, bro. True enough, Box Talk. I think Sergio beat him. I didn't expect him, to have that tough of a fight with Sergio. I didn't expect him to beat Lubin, but I think he beat Lubin because of the style that Lubin fought, right? I expected Ocampo to give him a hard time because I knew, right? I was saying that he only beat Lubin because of the style that Lubin fought. You know what I mean? I was saying that it was that fight looked like that because Lubin chose to fight him that way. You know what I mean? But I ain't gonna keep you out here too long. Skin Holloway, Southern T. This ain't the past. This ain't the future. But this the present. That's how we rocking. And I'm out. Love.